What is an absolute truth that no one wants to hear? It is possible to make no mistakes and still lose. That is not failure, that is life. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Conversely, it is possible to make many mistakes and come out ahead, and people forget that. They think taking a real risk is out of the question because of past mistakes. And they feel like they cannot afford more mistakes. Like it's been too long, they haven't done enough, etc. And they don't push through, and then they're staring at a wall at 29 going, holy shit, I thought it was too late when I was 20. Now I'm 29 and it's definitely too late. But then you're 52 going, man, my 29-year-old self should have made some more mistakes, they could have handled it, etc. I'm not 52, but I read and interact a lot with people older than me. Anyway, all this is to say mistakes are neutral markers of what works and what doesn't. Doesn't work, fix it. Works, improve it or keep it the same. So take a risk, life's a gamble. Buy the ticket, take the ride, all that jazz. Edit, full quote is better, for life and 2020. No sympathy for the devil, keep that in mind. Buy the ticket, take the ride, and if it occasionally gets a little heavier than what you had in mind, well, maybe chalk it up to forced consciousness expansion, tune in, freak out, get beaten. Hunter S. Thompson. Also, to add to this, just because someone is related to you, doesn't mean you have to like or tolerate them. Sometimes for people, friends are your true family because they accept you for who you are. They choose to stick around with you. Not because they have to. I don't speak to my abusive father and never will again, nor his side of the family. I'm estranged from one of my sisters already, and I don't like most of my extended family. I do not appreciate their morals. You won't lose much at all by cutting some family ties, circumstances depend though, OFC. You'll be much happier in the long run once you establish your life, who you are and what you need/want for your future. Yup. It bothers me when people dive deep into their ancestry expecting to find nothing but good people. Each one of us is descended from a lot of individuals, it's guaranteed that at least one of them was an awful person. That your haircut looks stupid. Just because you love someone, it doesn't mean they will love you back. No matter how hard you try to get them to, they just won't. Edit, wow, I've never had so many upvotes or awards. Thank you guys for sharing your stories and opinions. It's funny because, some of you talked about your ex. I was with my ex for 5 whole years and she suddenly fell out of love like snap that. I didn't understand. But this post isn't about her, and I didn't even think about her when posting it. I guess that means I'm truly over her. Now I just have to deal with the woman I did post this about. You can't love someone into loving you. Gotta keep telling myself that one. My parents think I'm a fucking genius cause I passed elementary school with like all A's LMAO. Can't wait for them to realize how fucking retarded I am now. LOL, there's still hope. I've found that a lot of the smartest people I've met think they're pretty average or dumb, and the dumbest people think they're geniuses. Maybe smart people are just more aware of how much they don't know or have met actual geniuses. Think of it this way, say you're shining a flashlight on a painting in a dark room. You can only see a flower and thus assume that the painting must be of a flower. But what if you take a step back? The area illuminated in the picture would grow, and you would start to see several other flowers surrounding the original. Even further back and you would see the entire meadow. As you pull further and further back, you would realize how little you knew originally, and how much more there is to know, to see the whole picture. This applies to knowledge as well. As you begin to learn more about a subject, you realize that you know very little of the whole truth. You are not immune to propaganda. All of your opinions have been shaped by it, or in spite of it. Just knowing that it exists does make you this divine third eye open woken creature who cannot be affected by it. Your spouse/child/home/job/vacation, etc. is not nearly as important to anyone else as it is to you. Yet I have a friend who goes on and on about his daughter. I really don't care and it's boring, but he enjoys talking about her so much and I'm happy to see a father so consistently excited about his kid. So, yeah, I have to listen and seem interested. I'm sure people give me the same kindness about a few things too. The deeper cut on this is that that's okay. You're supposed to care deeply about the things in your own life, and other people not caring about them doesn't make them less important. This is one of the things Instagram culture has taken away from us, the idea that you're doing great even if nobody likes the photos of the breakfast you made or knows who you are. For most of human history, most of our emphasis and energy was spent on our families and immediate communities. Now we're all flailing to matter to a bunch of strangers we probably wouldn't like in person, and it's wrecking our brains. Wow. That put things in perspective. Yes. Edit. That being said, I always like to encourage others to find joy in the exciting things in their lives. The world has been shitty lately, and if you telling me all about precious little quinoa, or your guided tour of Savannah, brings you happiness, I will listen and be so happy for you, because people need a little extra joy right now. Yeah, I don't mind it when people can self-moderate on these things, and most people can, and are cognizant of the fact that I don't want to hear about their daughter's upcoming wedding or about their trip to Hawaii for an hour, but I've come across too many people who have no such filter, and it's so exhausting. No one wants to hear your shitty music in public, especially in class. When I was thin, I never noticed it. Then some stuff happened and I gained a bunch of weight. I was stuck in my house during the period I gained weight, so it was just a total 180 when I was able to go out again. I'm no morbidly obese or anything, and no one is mean to me, but people just aren't as nice as they used to be. I never realized it until it was gone. Attractive people just don't realize the benefits of being attractive. People just gravitate to you more. It's easier to make friends, of both sexes. It's easier to connect with people, and you're given more opportunities as a result. It's not even about sexual attraction, though it can be, but people just naturally gravitate to you more. I never realized how much that was true until it went away. Edit. Thanks for the awards. My first ones. I noticed this going the other way. Even as a guy, where theoretically it seems to matter less, I noticed more positive attention and agreeableness from most everyone than I had before. It's not that they were rude or dismissive before or anything. It's that I got glossed over and ignored more frequently. The most uncomfortable part is, after noticing this change in behavior, I realized I've always been guilty of it too. I'm not mean to less attractive or heavier people, but I do focus on them less when I'm not actively engaged in conversation with them. It's weird. And subtle. Exact same thing happened to me. I'd been overweight to mildly obese all my life. Then, about 10 years ago, I dropped a lot of weight and discovered exercise. Without false modesty, I look quite okay now. I really notice how people are just so much nicer to me. It used to be that people either try to ignore me, or show strained smiles because they have to. Now I get attention, people flirt with me and do not get annoyed when I ask them to do something for me. I honestly did not expect how different people would treat you. And just like you, I only became aware that I do this too when it happened to me. Once attractive people lose their attractiveness, age, life can even be harder on them. People no longer laugh at their jokes that were never funny to begin with. They can have a lack of social skills that other people had to develop to make up for lack of attractiveness, etc. It's not as cut and dry as you may think. But, they probably have had more success due to their attractiveness with getting a great job or a successful spouse to help deal with the personal blow of aging comparatively. But the confidence stays. It's hard growing up, right, once you realize that you're the ugliest person you know. And, you're the asshole in someone's story. I was probably the asshole in these two young adults' story today. They were at the library where I work. They lowered their masks while sitting down and I heard my colleague ask them to put them back on. I passed by a few minutes later and saw they had taken them off again, so I decided to be harsh and ask them to put it back on, and that I had heard my colleague ask them once before and that we weren't asking a third time. They probably are telling their friends about the evil fat library bitch right now, but IDGAF. They were older than 18 and should know better. Did you say your username to them? That's pretty funny. Yeah, but also nobody will remember that one time I went to the movie theater and the guy said enjoy the movie. And I said you too, so it's not all bad. I sometimes think about, say 200 years ago in some town somewhere, all the people knew each other, had relationships, events, memories, celebrated births, mourned deaths, fell in love, experienced heartbreak and tragedy, told stories of when they were younger, dreamed of what it would be like as they aged, and everything else that goes with life. Now all of that is completely forgotten save for some old records collecting dust, and maybe not even that. And not only that, but everybody who knows me or even knows I exist will die, and then everybody who knows those people and might even conceivably have even heard of me will die, and so on, and the gravestones and monuments we spend money to have put in to make sure we're remembered, these'll last what, 100 years? 200, and they'll crumble, and the grass and insects my decomposition will go to feed will die, and their offspring, or if I'm cremated the trees that are nourished by my windblown ash will die or get cut down and decay, and my urn will decay, and before maybe 3 or 4 generations it will be like I never existed. Not only will I have passed away, but it will be like I was never here, and people in 2104 or whatever will no more think of Stuart A. Nichols Jr. than you or I think of John T. Smith, 1790 to 1864, of Livingston, Virginia, or some such. That everything is on fire, slow fire, and we're all less than a million breaths away from an oblivion more total than we can even bring ourselves to even try to imagine. In fact, probably that's why the manic US obsession with production, produce, impact the world, contribute, shape things, to help distract us from how little and totally insignificant and temporary we are. DFW. All that, plus the likelihood that we ever meaningfully leave the solar system is approximately 0, and in about 5.5 billion years, the sun will enter its red giant phase, growing to engulf the orbits of the inner planets and utterly incinerate everything on this one. The only things left of humanity will be the half-dozen probes that will have escaped the solar system. Of course, even if we do meaningfully leave the solar system, eventually the universe will experience heat death, rendering any form of life impossible anywhere. On a long enough timeline, everything is meaningless. I've been having panic attacks over this shit my whole life. Hate thinking about it too, but I do it compulsively. It's awful, but I find it gets better as I get older. And for some reason sort of comforting to hear that others are fighting with this too. If it helps, all things come to pass, all things come to an end, but this only reinforces the need, the compulsion to spend each moment as a precious thing. I do not mean to fret over each moment, I mean to truly be in every moment, absorb it, and indeed, all of life, and squeeze each second until it screams for mercy. If you are going to play a video game, enjoy every pixel. Reading a book, savor each word as if you are reading that word for the first time. Look at the grass in a meadow, both individually and as a whole. The world is amazing, our time is short, and all we have are our experiences. This is the meaning of life, to spend each second like it is our last. The experience, the struggle to become more is our journey. What's this nonsense about never really leaving the solar system? Billions of years are a fucking enormous time scale. Sure, human lifetimes are not compatible with interstellar travel for us now, but it doesn't matter that one human life will end before a ship gets from one star to another. Travel between the stars may take thousands of years, but you see, the thing is, there are plenty of those thousands in the trillions of years the universe will live on for. With something fundamentally groundbreaking that allows for sci-fi-esque transportation, it's obvious that humanity will be able to propagate. If we can get strange matter and make warp drives work, interstellar travel is solved and we pop about as we want. But even without hyperspace or wormholes or warping space-time, getting out into the stars is just a matter of time. It's simply currently infeasible, nothing about it is impossible. It just won't be like the movies. It'll be generation ships or ships full of embryos or whatever sailing along on nuclear fusion or fission or one of the plentiful other interstellar fuel sources for a couple thousands of years. The problem is we always think in our little human lives. Space is much bigger than that. You're fixating on the wrong thing. Even if we do, it doesn't matter. Everything ends. Even the stars burn down. You're fixating on the wrong thing. So what if nothing we do matters and we're all gonna die? Space is really cool. What does matter mean to you? What makes something matter? To me it has nothing to do with longevity or anything like infinity. To you, for something to matter it seems to need to be infinite. Is that a false assessment? For it to matter on the biggest scale it needs to be infinite, right? Well, I think the things humans find to matter are very finite. Partially they matter because of that finitude. Dead people mattered. They may not now, but they did. And that's what matters. This is oddly beautiful, and scarily true. / 3 things I always think when my mind is clear. Just mummify or fossilize yourself, done. 4 centuries have fallen now in the night of time. 4 centuries have played with the dust in the graves, and have covered monuments, glory, and heroism with a dense layer of oblivion. They vanished without a care, the wit, the bravery, and the beauty. From a poem I read once. I might have missed a couple words. We saw that with Bernie LMAO. I was super convinced he was gonna get the nomination just because of Reddit alone. After that I realized that the front page here is a little biased. And the more biased it gets, the easier it is to become more biased. People love their own echo chambers, and people hate echo chambers that conflict with their worldviews. Reddit has very likely pushed away every reasonable moderate and conservative that would be willing to have conversations with them out of subs that are political, so, any sub with more than a few thousand people and lack an explicit no politics rule LOL. Push away the possible dissenting opinions and the echo chamber gets louder and more comfortable for the people it fits with. Which further pushes out those who stuck around to offer different opinions. Which makes the echo chamber louder. A downward spiral into useless circle jerking is the end result. There's no discussion, nobody learns anything, and lots of biases are confirmed. That you need to uplift others to improve society and the world. But everyone is more focused on crushing those around them to ensure their current, or potential, position in the world. I've never understood why people are so obsessed with suppressing others just to feel good. Edit, I do understand this process and why they think this. I was unable to properly communicate my tone. They don't know how to improve themselves, but they know how to drag others down to increase their relative status. Also, and this is going to be unpopular, but doctors who are fresh graduates are more on the up with modern technology and medical advancements. While everyone loves the idea of a 72-year family physician who knows it all, the reality is that the 35-year MD is going to be better educated about the latest treatments. In my experience, the young doctors are also far more likely to actually talk through your health with you, rather than just writing a prescription and showing you the door. In my search for a primary care physician, I've had to talk several older doctors out of prescription conversations and none of them knew what to do next. Spaghetti code and bad design is a serious problem, but this isn't always what's going on here. Something you learn the hard way after being in the software industry long enough is that working hard and fast and being as productive as you can all the time is a trap. You know the maxim, fast, cheap, or good, pick 2. When you go 100% on everything, you end up setting a precedent for being the person that can do all 3, and the more you succeed the more gets piled on you, and everyone thinks you love it so they never stop doing it. You can keep up with this if you're a young prodigy with no life, but eventually age will slow you down, and you're going to want more out of life than getting shit done at work. Marriage, family, vacations, hobbies, all those things you are working to be able to get. But instead you're now the single point of failure for many things, and you don't get to be anything else. These old and slow people have learned this, and if they're lucky someone taught them before they crashed and burned and learned it that way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment Reddit Storytime for more Reddit stories.